And welcome to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. It's that time again to head out on the road, hit the asphalt, and get going, Les. And we've got a lot to get to this hour. And it's going to start off with Nissan, right?
It is. They're getting nervous about their losses. I should think so. And it's dramatically changing its product plans for the U.S. I hope they pull it off.
Yeah, the big news, the billions of dollars of loss. They were not expecting that. We'll talk about what they're doing and how they're trying to dig out of this hole. So we're also going to have a story about Ford. Ford, a group of enthusiasts within Ford's operation, wants to bring back the RS and the ST models, but not on the Fiestas and Focuses. They want to bring them back on another model, possibly the Mach-E, and we will talk
Well,
about that. Remember, they were great values, those cars, especially
they were,
the ST.
yeah,
A lot of fun, and the
yep,
RS was one of the best, I think, that I
that's
remember.
right.
One of the best Fords ever.
Cheap fun.
Yeah.
Cheap fun.
Yep, for sure.
And Kia prices out its 2025 EV6. Of course, you know it's going to be good.
Yeah, it is. This is one of my favorite electric cars. It's just a cool design. I'm driving an Ioniq 5N right now, and that of course is the shares the same chassis with this. Incredible amount of room inside. But we'll tell you all about the pricing for that, and then we're going to talk about the compact Maserati. They're expanding their compact SUV lineup, and we'll talk about some of the models and some of the updates, right, Les?
This is interesting. It's the first one I can think of that they've gone with a compact. Um, Plus, and here's a big question, why are tariffs inflating used car prices? Aside from very opportunistic sales places.
Yes. Well, we'll talk about that, and it has something to do, of course, with supply and demand, and
Right.
we will kick that around, and then we're going to tell you about what Cadillac greenlighted, and that's the Optiq V, another V series, all electric V series, and that will be heading to dealers very soon. So I'm not a fan of that double taillight, quad taillight look.
Um, Me
Not a fan.
either. It just looks like they couldn't think of a way to wrap it around, so they just sort of cut
Broke
it
it up.
and put it in two pieces.
Yeah. Well, let's jump into our first story, and that is with Nissan. Um, Not good news for them this week. They're losing money and making fewer profits. They had revised earnings this week, and they took a grim turn. They were expecting to lose around 560.7 million. Now it looks like they're going to lose 4.9 to 5.3 billion. That's huge, isn't it?
Mm. Mm. That's just a lot of money. And how do you make that up?
I don't know.
But that said, they said they still have breathing room, um, and there's plenty of liquidity, about 23 billion available. Now, obviously, that means they would sell off all their assets.
Yeah, and one of the assets they're thinking about selling off is their partnership with Peugeot. They could sell some of that stock off, and they're working that out to not Peugeot. What is their manufacturer they're partner with? Um, they are thinking about selling off some of that stock, and they are thinking that's a way around it. There's also some plans for them to use some of their excess capacity in some of their plants in the U.S. because there's going to be a lot of people looking
Yeah.
for this, right?
Well, and this that Foxconn company is still in the picture,
Yeah, of course,
as is Honda. Although I don't believe it.
maybe
I know they're still talking, but
maybe Honda is just playing the vulture in this game. They'll wait until it gets bad enough to the point where they can make an offer and they have to accept it because it's the only offer. What do you think about that idea?
I tell you, I just don't want to see them go under. But
Well, here's the
we don't
thing.
have any
We have
control.
two companies right now, Mitsubishi, which could
Hmm.
they're not going to go under, but they could pull out of the US
Oh,
market, and Nissan, which could go under. And tariffs is not making it any easier on this, but Nissan has been struggling anyway, and the fact that tariffs are now hitting them hard. Stellantis is struggling too, but
hmm.
they had a CEO that just quite simply did not understand the business in the U.S. and was adamant about doing it his way. His way wasn't working, and he had to step off because he almost killed that
Yeah.
company. So you have potentially three brands that could go away right now. Nissan, I'm a little scared for Nissan because I feel that the cards are stacked against them. They also had a not so great CEO that didn't make the right choices. Um,
Yep.
and now they're kind of stuck with what they have in their lineup. They're talking about, well, the new Leaf's coming out. Okay, that's good. Leaf's a great car. That's
But
not going to be a
that's
volume model.
no, that's not. That's okay. Um,
That's good, but
think of something better,
yeah,
or bigger, or more important. Um, yeah. So what do you do? And also, okay, so they have some working cash, but if you come out with a new model or even redo an existing model, you can go through $3 or $4 billion in a hurry.
yeah. And one of their models that's doing well is the Kicks. It's made in Mexico. Obviously, tariffs.
Yeah.
They have the
Hmm.
Versa. They're the new inexpensive leader, since Mitsubishi no longer has an inexpensive car. Um, but those models could be killed off because of tariffs or just not sold in the U.S. because of tariffs. So here's what they were planning on doing and now what they're not doing. They ended Maxima production in July of 2023. They're done with larger sedans. That's what they said. They just don't sell them. They're not a leader in there. They were going to make the Sentra and the Altima electric. No more. They said they can't do it. They were going to convert them to electric cars. Probably they'll keep building them and do small
Yep.
updates just to have that market and have that models in their lineup. There is a couple of new things. There is an electric SUV the size of the Rogue. They say that might be an Xterra, return of the Xterra, and the code name is PZ1J. Uh, Once again, that's kind of their space that they play in, compact
That's right.
SUVs. But um, is that what people want right now? A compact SUV? Yeah, they'd want it if it was $25,000, right?
Well, true. True. Um, y- yeah. I mean, I don't know. What do you think? Do you really think they should get involved in an electric SUV at this moment?
I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, bringing back a Xterra name is great. Should it be electric? I don't know. Then there was that report that they wanted to say, well, we're not going to do electrics. We're going to do extended range electrics. That's interesting. It's still a new concept to
Yep.
people. I mean, the Ram Charger's not out yet. The Volt is long gone. Um, I don't know. I would think that they have to fill the niches that other people aren't providing. One of them is sedans like Sentra and Altima and Versa. Versa's a great inexpensive car,
It is, but again, not a huge seller.
not a huge seller, not a lot of meat on the bone for them to make money. So also interesting trend how they're dealing with tariffs. So for now, Nissan is holding its prices until June, no matter what happens with tariffs. Other manufacturers are doing it as well. They're holding it to May, but Nissan has found a way to keep the prices the same until June, but then after that, all bets are off. Um, there's so much pressure on this. I don't know. And the sad thing is, kind of the renaissance was happening. I think the kicks will do very well for them without tariffs.
Yep.
I think that is a great vehicle. They finally made it all-wheel drive. They updated the styling. I think that's great. I think the Frontier is still relatively new and is doing well. There's talk that they're going to have a hybrid model of that. There's talk that they're going to have a hybrid model of Rogue. They got to get this stuff out there. They just have to get the stuff out there and start selling it, and it has to be a hit. There's no room for error now. So the other thing we wanted to talk about with Nissan, which I think is a bit of good news, is that there will be a next generation GTR. If Nissan sticks around, there will be a new generation GTR, and it will be a hybrid, which is good news, right?
Well, this is a great idea. You know what? You don't think of hybrid performance cars much,
Mm-hmm.
but man, talk about the best of all worlds. It's you got a fast car
Mm-hmm.
on a track or on the road, and it's a hybrid.
Yeah. And it will be a V6. It will be a V6 hybrid GTR. And will it make it to market? It's been kind of an assumption of the market since April of last year that there would be a new model, and that's what it would be. And they've also developed fully electric test mules for the next gen GTR, but that's probably not likely. This is a big project, expensive project, and once again, it is sort of a halo car. It is not a high volume car that is going to save the company. It's
No,
something
but it's
interesting to talk about, though.
it's aspirational and it brings people in the showrooms.
Yeah. What do they need in their lineup, Les? I don't know. I don't know. They need things like the kicks, and they
Well,
have things like the
like the
kicks.
Murano, like the Rogue.
And Murano kind of blends into the wallpaper, though. I don't know if it stands out enough.
Yeah, but now I have, and again, this isn't this is just my observation of what's going on with
Mm-hmm.
the tariffs. And my observation, based on a bunch of people I know working for various government agencies and lobbyists, um,
Your
is
favorite
that
group of people.
my favorite group of people is that the pressure on the White House between, uh, and you're going to love this, Muskrats, the 100 people that he's got working for them. The New York Times just published who they all are and what their backgrounds are. Their backgrounds are idiotic. So it turns out that in 100% so far of all of the stripping agencies of this and that, they've had to rescind or partially rescind 100% of those decisions.
Okay.
And that's good because that combined with massive pressure from lobbyists, from corporations, from even the Republican Party. Yeah, everything is piling on the White House that, look, don't, you got to stop these crazy tariffs. You got to do this in a metered, thought out pattern.
Yeah.
This 90-day halt was a result of that.
Yes.
So I don't believe there anything's going to come back in a big way. I think they're all fading away in the background,
I
um, and
I think there will
and we'll be
be
okay.
I think there will be a few deals, and that will be considered a win and move on.
Yeah,
Whatever those deals are, who knows what they are. I mean,
yeah,
just to segue in on like we love to do on cruise control, the auto industry, sent a letter to Trump officials and talking about the supply chain and how parts come from
yeah,
everywhere, including Mexico, including Canada, including China, including wherever, right? And that they basically, to paraphrase, said manufacturers are not set up to absorb the tariff. They are not set up to all of a sudden find a new place to build parts, right? They can do
no,
that, and they would love to do that and bring some more things to the U.S., but they can't do it right away. And it was something, the president said something about, well, we'll give them a little more time. And they wrote back, this group of automakers and some of the auto groups like the Alliance for Automotive Innovation, and said, we appreciate that. We appreciate you understanding it, but we need more than a little time to change our supply chain. I'm more the carrot guy. You know what I mean?
right.
Make it worth my while to bring the stuff in here. And I will. But I can't do it next month. I can maybe
Or
do it in two
next year.
years. Yeah, maybe a
Yeah,
couple of
it,
years,
yeah.
little by
So
little.
this all of this has put enormous pressure on the advisors in the White House, and basically, uh, they're running scared at the
Well,
moment.
here's
It's a whoops, I didn't realize moment.
well, yes, that not all factories for cars build every component there under the
Everything,
roof.
everything.
They don't, that engines might come from Japan, Germany, Mexico, whatever. Even for big pickup trucks, the engines come from Mexico and they're built in the
Yep,
U.S. And that doesn't mean that that plant is not a plant because there's components built somewhere else and shipped in. It's just wherever they budget this out and they look at where can we build this. And it's like a
yeah.
business.
This isn't, it's not like going to Target and buying your
Right,
supplies.
right. So
It's
here's what's going to
yeah,
happen, I think. As you say, pressure is building. Absolutely. They'll have a few wins with like
right.
India and Japan, and who knows, maybe even a little something with China. It doesn't have to be like,
Maybe,
okay,
maybe.
we'll rescind everything. They'll have a few wins. They will get some promises from industry leaders to, we will make every effort to bring stuff back to the U.S., but obviously we need to build plants. We need to change things around. Maybe the next model thing coming, a refresh
Yep.
coming up in 2 years, we will set this as a goal and do this. This is what, and it will be called a win. And maybe it is a win, but it's not going to be the win is not going to be every tariff against U.S. goods is
No.
cleared. It might be reduced. It might be eliminated in some cases, or there might be some other concession. That's what will happen because, as you say, you
Right.
can't like you know like it or not. Whenever you buy something, a lot of things come from China, and that's it. I mean, there's
Well,
a,
yes.
a lot of reasons not to like that. But it is the reality now. Can you set a goal of let's start moving away from that, or let's look at ways to bring stuff here. Yeah, but as someone said, a colleague of ours said, it should be more surgical than nuclear explosion and
Right.
blowing it
Well,
all up.
exactly. And now they realize it.
Yeah.
Um, so what you need is smart people uh, working working with each of the countries over the long term and working out deals.
Yes.
What you don't need is one person with a chart saying, "Okay, this is what it's going to be," because it won't work. It just won't work.
Kind of, let's face it, when they were pushing electric cars, right? Oh, we have to do this by 20. That didn't
Yeah,
work. People like carrot.
didn't
They
work.
don't like stick. You can't they don't like we're not a country built on we really like being told what to do. Maybe there are I think there are people that do like that. Some
Hmm.
other countries are like that. They have a dictator type guy and they like it. They feel comfortable doing it. We don't like that. We like
We
being,
don't.
hey, if you buy this electric car, we'd like you to, but obviously it's your choice, whatever you want to buy. But hey, maybe we'll give you a little bit of a rebate on this. Carrot, right?
Yeah,
Stick is
that's
you've
it.
got to do it whether you want it or not.
It's an incentive. You need incentive to get
Incentives.
somebody to do what you would like them to do.
Yes. Well, while we're on this
Um,
all, let's talk about used car prices. Once again, I have never.
exactly.
What it was something the other day. It said tariffs are increasing something, and I was like, why would they be increasing that? Um, but it affects everything. The housing market. People just pull in their, they take their cash and shove it back in their pocket. And it's
Right.
all. I mean, it is a cause and effect thing, but I can't think of it. It was something that I thought, how is that related to anything with tariffs, right? But it was. There
Well,
was a tie into it.
there
So,
are people who will figure out how to make money
oh yeah,
uh, just because the forecast is rain for the next 30 days.
yes,
You
yes,
know,
that's true.
it's
And good,
it's
good for
really
them if they could do it, But
and the buying public needs to realize you don't have to make a decision today. Just wait.
yes, well, it's like the guy that has to have the brand new Corvette as soon as it comes out, and they pay over sticker.
Yeah,
If they waited a year, they could have their choice of 5 or 6 cars, and they'd
right.
be under sticker, be able to deal. But so one study predicts used car values could jump between 890 and 5,169 dollars
Hmm.
this year. So they would have a ripple effect. Tariffs would have a ripple effect on new vehicles, and some analysts are suggesting that the used car market could return to the way it was during COVID, where dealers were calling you up for your 6 or 7
Yeah,
year old Honda and saying, hey, I really like to buy it, which is great. If you don't need it, it'd be like, sure, come get it. Um,
yeah.
but so basically, people, I guess to cut to the chase, what would happen is you're not going to buy a new car because now it's $20,000 more than it was a couple of months ago. And you're going to say, well, I'll buy a used vehicle. And then, there's less of them around. And dealers are always ready to say, oh, tariff
That's right.
fee. They'll tell you there's a tariff on used cars. They would do that. So,
Well, they will. They really will. And what you want to do. I just had a neighbor ask me. I need to buy a new used car. Uh,
oh,
mine's falling apart. And I said, well, go to
is this the guy with that
CarMax.
Camry? Doesn't he have a
No,
Camry?
this is a
It's got
different one.
it's like
This this is a
450,000 miles on it.
right. This is a Lexus.
Okay.
Um, And I just said, go to CarMax because they're not going to tell you that that their tariffs on used cars and all that stuff. They just move hardware and machinery. So
Yeah.
and don't don't believe what a regular dealer's salespeople, used car salespeople say unless you can verify it
Right.
because
They'll s-
they're
they'll
trying to
s-
sell. They're going
they'll
to
say
kind of
anything.
say anything, yeah, that you want to hear.
Yes.
Um, so like, well, if you want this in red, it's going to cost an extra $2,000.
Because
Well,
there's a new
no, it
law that
won't.
says red cars are more.
Yeah, you just you just want to go find one.
Well,
So yeah, I don't. Yes, used cars are going to be costing more because the inventory is coming down, but that's I don't believe the tariffs are going to do anything there
no, I
because
do
they're
think
not
this
going to
will.
last that long.
Yeah, I do. I do think, and yes, we have midterm elections coming up. You don't want that to affect that
That's right.
because then you really can't do anything. So
That's right.
there you have it. All right. Well, let's move on and talk about the ST and the RS return. Now, I love the RS, Focus
Yeah.
RS. Yeah, I would even get talking about used cars. I get one of these used. It was just a well put together machine, very European feeling, good fun, all wheel drive, and fun to take around the twisties. And then you had the ST, which was sort of the less aggressive model, and that was on the Focus and the Fiesta. These are great, fun little pocket rockets at different levels
Yep.
of performance. I think they're missed. I believe Ford missed out on, you know, eliminating cars from their lineup here and basically around the world. Well, there is a group of performance enthusiasts at Ford that are hoping to bring back the RS and ST trims, and they're hoping to bring them back on the Mustang branded SUV Mach E. And they are trying to think of ways to kind of put these packages together and bring them back on the Mach E. Of course, there's the Mach E Rally, which is kind of out there a little bit. That is a rally inspired looking vehicle with a lifted suspension and special sporting drive mode. Um, what would these look like? It's hard to say what they could. They could have more performance. They could have some, uh, maybe a lowered suspension. But I think when I remember, okay, the RS, of course, was more of a modified machine. That was kind of like a Golf R competitor, all-wheel drive, and had a lot of hardware. But the STs were really nicely equipped vehicles that were not just stickers. They were some enhanced capabilities,
They were,
suspension. Yeah,
yeah, they were poor man's Shelby Mustang.
they were nice. They were nice, fun
Yep.
cars. So it would be great to see them bring back that trim level. I mean, I think they should bring back the car, Focus and
Well, I do
Fiestas.
too. I do too. There was something about the Focus RS that it just had the most fun torque steer of, of any car that I can remember. It was like the torque steer was letting you play with it.
Yeah, yeah, they had. It's kind of a shame that they don't have not continued on with those models. But hey,
Yeah.
that's the way it is. I remember the one I drove was in that blue. But I'd like to see these trim levels revised. And I mean, somebody that doesn't need a GT Mustang Mach E might like an ST. That
Hmm.
has some performance, but once again, it's a good way to lower price. Give maybe the cooler wheels and some suspension tweaks and a little bit of styling, and not charge the big number.
Yeah, it would be interesting with the Mach-E. I think they could come up with some pretty clever ideas.
Yes, yes, I do too. Hey, while we're on pricing, why don't we talk a little bit about the updated EV6 from the folks over at Kia? Kia, I think, are rapidly becoming the leader in electric vehicles, Kia and Hyundai. And we have some pricing news for the 2025 EV6. And it's not too bad at the lower levels. It does get a high at the GT level. But let's break it on down. The EV6 Lite, $42,900 is the entry for that, and then the EV6 long range rear wheel drive, 46,200. If you want all wheel
Okay.
drive, it's 50,300. Now we're getting into some real money, aren't we? And this is updated significantly for 2025. There is a signature star map lighting on standard full projection LED headlights and daylight running lights. There are front bumpers with sharper angles, three-dimensional taillights with a star map design language, front and rear cladding. Oh boy, cladding, bring it back. With sharply angled sill moldings. The larger battery pack, the battery pack gets larger, I should say, in the light trim, 63 kilowatt hours. And then the standard long range battery is larger as well with 84 kilowatt hours. They all now adopt the North American Charging Standard, NACS, for broader compatibility.
Yep.
And bigger displays inside, optional tech package, collision avoidance assist reverse offered on light and long range configurations. So a general updating. Standard horsepower for the EV6 GT, by the way, is 601 with up to 641 in the GT mode.
That's a lot.
Yeah. By the way,
Yeah.
assembled in Kia's West Point, Georgia plant, but not the EV6 GT. So
That means it's domestic.
that means it's domestic.
As far as
And
I'm concerned, that's domestic.
yep, well, yes, I agree. But now, also announced this week, EV6 and EV9 and Nero owners gain access to over 21,500 Tesla superchargers available across the country. And that is good news if you own one of these vehicles. There's a mall near me with a big parking garage and has a whole level kind of dedicated and says Teslas only for charging. Now,
Ah,
now when this starts, I wonder what that's going to be like. Will the attendants know this is now open to non-Teslas? Will
who own,
they?
who
Will
owns it?
It's owned by the mall, I guess. I don't know if they have a private company
Hmm.
that runs it, but
I guess Tesla paid for it, but
how could you show this? What do you do? Will Tesla owners freak out? I don't know. I mean, there's a
well, I don't.
there's a Wegmans supercharger by me. Wegmans is a supermarket, and it's a major supercharger. I there must be 30 or 40 chargers in a row,
Wow.
and that I see everything there. I made the mistake of parking near it once, and I got caught in the conga line. And there was all kinds of things there. Every electric vehicle under the sun. A lot of Teslas, of course, but they were all patiently waiting. And I thought,
Well, but that's what it's supposed to be.
yes, but I would hate to sit and wait because it's not going to be like 5 minutes and the guy, but
No, there's the problem. It could be an hour, could be a couple hours, it could be a
yeah,
half hour.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm driving the Ionic 5N right now, and to charge from about a quarter of having about a quarter left of the charge capability to 250 miles on a socket was 2 days, and that charged it all the way up to 250 on a regular electric socket. So you really do need a level 2 if you have one of these.
You do. You do.
So, hey, let's move over to Maserati. You have a story about a compact SUV that looks quite attractive, actually.
Well, yes, it's the Maserati Grisale. I'm going to pronounce it that way. I don't know if
Okay.
that's right. Um, and it's a cool looking smaller SUV.
Yep.
And I love their expression, everyday exceptional SUV
Yes. It's kind of how you
with
live your
updates to
life,
the
Les Jackson. Every day
exactly,
exceptional.
exactly.
Yeah.
Updates to the engines, interiors, bodywork. Um, Once again, this is not me speaking. Passion, innovation, and versatility are
Okay.
the ingredients in the Graziale, uh, which boy, they've got a lot of models: the Gran Turismo, Gran Cabrio, MC20, MC20 Celio, and GT2 Stradale.
Okay.
Um, they've really come a long way with their product line, and the exterior of this thing looks high end
It
to me.
does. It does. It definitely they have made the look of the Maserati fit a smaller vehicle without making it look ridiculous. Like remember when they made the
Oh
Cadillac super small, but they tried to keep
yeah,
tail fins and things like that. I thought that never worked. But this, they have scaled it accordingly. And you get a couple of different powertrains, including a what they call the 330 CV, 325 horsepower, four-cylinder mild
right,
hybrid, which is the base engine, which is quite a nice base engine for this model. And then the Trofeo
right.
version comes with the 530 CV, 525 horsepower, V6 at
Which
Tuno.
which is you can imagine how that will scoot.
Yes, very very scootable.
Um, as long as you have enough money. And I'll tell you, this is a pretty intriguing vehicle, and I think I see more and more Maseratis all the time
Yeah, yeah, I
on the
see a
road.
lot.
Never used to see them.
By the way, you can also get the I'm not sure how to say that Folgore, I guess, 100%
Full,
electric vehicle with a 105 kilowatt hour battery, which is pretty substantial for a small
that's
vehicle.
a lot.
Yeah. I don't have horsepower numbers on that, but five
Well,
seat
105 kilowatts.
configurations, brand new premium leather chocolate, and sport leader black blue options. Sounds beautiful. 11 exterior colors. So, yeah, nice looking vehicle. Nice looking vehicle for sure, and fun. I
It is, and it's amazing because it's Maserati's not a huge company
no
that they can put out all of these variations.
is a good thing. It is definitely a good thing. Yep. Let's move over to Cadillac. Cadillac, well, they have another V series coming up, Optiq V. We don't know much about it. We got a couple of teaser photos, but
Yeah,
it obviously it's all electric, and it is a V series, and this will be their second all electric V series. They're just basically confirming it, and it is It is on its way. Optiq is a sort of what would you call it? A kind of a mid-size electric um,
Midsize, yeah, with
crossover.
the V series, which is hot rod.
Yeah, that we're not showing the V series now because we only have teaser photos of it. Um, it's always interesting to me when you think of electric M's and V series and other performance, what they can do with it. As I said a couple of times before, I'm driving the Ioniq 5N, and the N is certainly different than the standard Ioniq 5, which is also a great vehicle. So I wonder what they will do with this when they fully reveal the V series. Are the
Yeah.
performance variants different enough? I guess it really depends because uh, the N is different enough. It looks radically different. They've gone and made it, really, really different. Not that the Ionic 5 in the standard trim was slow.
Something I have been noticing is Cadillac's about the only division we're hearing from these days.
Only GM division. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Um, I, it kind of makes me concerned.
yeah. I would agree. I would agree. Um, you don't. Buick, of course, was doing very well. By the way, very well.
Yeah.
And then, as they say, tariffs came along because many of their vehicles are built in China or South Korea. Um, and so that really makes you wonder what the future is for that. I mean, that
Yeah.
could it become a Chinese only brand, Buick? Could
This whole plan that uh, GM had, which is back in the 90s, a friend of my wife's, her husband was sent over to basically supervise the building and the computer work in a plant that they were building in China,
hmm
which now builds Buicks and whatever else they're building for China. And they thought, I'm sure GM thought, well, this is great. We'll have all of this very available labor and blah blah blah. But now, um, I think if they had a choice, they wouldn't build a factory in China.
right. Yes, that is true. I mean, it has not been a great investment for GM in
It
China.
has not.
Um, and I also think, you know, uh, not to get back to tariffs again, but it does run as a thread through many of our stories. I also think this will slam the door on manufacturers saying like, well, like in the case of the Nautilus or in the case of some of these Buicks,
Hmm.
hey, we'll build it primarily for China and the USA market's a secondary market, so we'll just build it there and ship it here. I think that idea is going to go by the boards.
It's that idea is very much in question now.
Yeah, yeah, and from the consumer standpoint, I think only a handful of people really know where they're built or even care. I don't know if they even care.
I don't
Um,
think people really care.
no, it's all about the monthly payments, and it's all about having the vehicle you like and is it there and can I get it.
Yeah.
But I think they might be much more aware now, and I don't think we're going to see things like the Nautilus and other vehicles
Well,
built in China and sold here. I
uh,
think that's going to come to an
yeah.
end. Um, but let's make a completely different turn now.
All right.
We had talked in the past about a new hypercar from Porsche. Well, we know there's a new hypercar from Genesis coming. It is the GMR 001. A Le Mans is certainly a Le Mans racer. I mean, you cannot You cannot deny. I love the taillight, by the way.
Yeah, this is right out of a Batman movie.
Yes, this look at that top spine on that and that
Wow.
giant wing. Um,
Wow.
well, this is going to be V8 powered, and this week they fired up the V8, and for the first time, V8 twin turbo. No, I don't know if you can get it as a crate motor, Les Jackson. Be good for
That's a
that Ford
90
Falcon.
degree V8. Yeah. So um,
A little
this
big on the
obvious.
packaging, don't you think? It's a
It,
little wide.
well, I don't know if they're telling us the top speed of this thing, but I'm going to say 275.
Wow.
This is not built for going to the supermarket.
No, 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 no. Um, the engine design for this, and it was just fired up for the first time. V8 twin turbo. The architecture of this V8 power plant is built from the inline four-cylinder engine that powers Hyundai Motorsports WRC Challenger.
Wow.
And the two units sharing roughly 60% of their parts. The inline four, in turn, is based on the FIA's global race engine regulation. So it's two inline four cylinders, canted at a significant angle with a lot of boost, it looks like. Nice bit of engineering, isn't it?
Well,
Super.
it certainly is. I mean, if it's a Formula One engine, my gosh, the engine alone is a $250,000, $500,000.
Yeah. Interesting way to build a V8 out of two straight fours.
Yeah,
Will we
and
see
look where
that
they're
in the
going to go.
automotive industry for future V8s? There are a few future V8s
There
being
are a
built.
few.
There's a new small block coming under development. The contracts have already been signed and the ink is dry, but no one really knows what it will be or what it will be like. But it's I love engineering. Yeah, this is a little talking
Boy,
tech, and it's I find this interesting too. Porsche's always looking for ways to keep the internal combustion engine alive, and the Car Moses had this German patent and trademark office, and it's for two-piece pistons. Now, two-piece pistons. When I read this, I thought this is not the first time because I remember my dad bringing home. He worked for Detroit Diesel, and he said, "This is our new piston design," and it had the crown with like a part that came down internally to the piston that the pin could go through, and a skirt, and they were separate, right? And it was
wow.
just a performance thing and thermal thing, and I might even have it somewhere because I was like, wow, I think he had a demonstrator model of it, because previously these pistons were long. They're like a foot long almost, and they were a solid piece. So then they
Yeah,
made a skirt and a
yeah, you don't
crown.
want that in a,
Yeah.
yeah.
So Porsche's looking at this two-piece design, and that part is not technically new in a sense because it's been used by other people, but they're also looking at having hollow areas to allow cooling and less weight. Of course, people do aluminum
That's right.
pistons
Well,
and
if
things
you
like
can,
that in race cars.
yeah,
Yeah,
if you can cut the inertia of the piston, because that thing is traveling at almost supersonic speeds.
right.
Um, yeah, cooling it is a great idea.
Yeah. So less weight, better cooling. Um, the new bionic design minimizes piston weight, maintaining strength needed, and would also allow better thermal stability, maintaining desired temperatures across the crown of the piston. Of course, hot spots are bad for metal and combustion. And, um, that the hollow sections, circular channels, they can be injected with oil via an intake funnel that feeds the crankcase. So you could have oil-cooled pistons.
Man,
wring out every bit of efficiency out of a internal combustion engine. I mean that's basically what they want to do. Um, just get every last bit out of it, and I don't know. I think if any company can do it, Porsche will try to stick with
they'll
that
they'll try
that
it.
engine. Yeah.
That engine is a triumph of development over basic engineering.
Yes. Yes. Another quick talking tech. Let's talk about Stellantis this week and Factorial. Factorial, that sounds more like a news operation or something, but
Well, yeah, we're in math class.
yes, Factorial, a factorial number of 5, yes.
That's right.
Um, but they are a battery company, and they are ready to start releasing solid state batteries to a test fleet in 2026. Um, and these batteries enable fast charging from 15 to 90% in 18 minutes. The battery cells can also operate efficiently from minus 30 degrees Celsius to 45 degrees Celsius, or minus 22 Fahrenheit to 113 Fahrenheit, with potential for further expansion and higher capacities up to a 4C discharge. So they partnered with them, Stellantis, and they're going to start moving this in. Um, there was some talk that, the numbers were kind of disappointing compared to what had been pitched by other companies. And, as Factorial says, it's a compromise. If you want a battery that can
Yep.
operate at certain temperatures, you might have to take slightly slower charging. But 18 minutes to get up to 90% is not bad.
That's adequate.
Thank
In a
you. That
good
was
way.
adequate. Thank
Yeah,
you. That was
that's right.
adequate. Uh, you know, I I find this interesting. I also find that this would be great for um, plug-in hybrids to charge that battery up real quickly.
Yep.
There's a great bit of technology. I still say electric cars are getting better, but they're going to get a lot
They
better.
are.
So
10 years from now, electric cars are going to be just so advanced that it'd be hard to describe what they'll be like.
well, I also think they potentially could in the future be charged faster than filling your car.
Yep.
So um, I also wonder if new housing developments will have 800-volt chargers in people's garages eventually.
Well, yeah.
Or they'll
Every
I think it will be you pull up to the gate and to come into your development, and it recharges your car while you sit on a plate
you're
for
right.
a
Yeah.
minute.
Well, you will have inductive charging for sure.
Yeah. Um, so interesting technology. I think solid people are pushing solid state faster. I
Hmm.
don't. Do you remember when Toyota said they would have their solid state batteries coming up?
I rem I I don't remember the timeline, but I do remember when they said they expected to be able to do this by such and such. I think it was late this decade.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, we'll keep you up to date on that. But solid state batteries are making their way to a vehicle near you at some
Yeah,
point and then also there are less expensive batteries too, making their way
that's right.
like the new
Just like solid
Volt.
state hard
Yeah.
drives.
Yeah. All right. Well, we hope you've enjoyed this edition of Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. It's time for me to say I'm Fred Staub.
I'm Les Jackson.
We are going to see you down the road. Take care.
Bye.